Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I'll be going over Week 17 defenses to stream for fantasy football in 2020. Inside this video, we are going to be discussing my top 6 defenses that you guys can find off your waiver wire to complete your 2020 championship run in week number 17. Now, if you guys have ended up enjoying this video thus far, I would really appreciate if you guys could hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2020 fantasy football championship. I would mean a whole lot to me. Thank you guys very much. If you guys have won already, let me know down below. I'm not too sure why you're watching this video if you already won, but it means a lot to me to see that you guys are winning as well, that the advice I give actually ends up helping. I already got a bunch of comments, got a bunch of tweets as well. I was retweeting everyone on Twitter who told me that they won their championship, so huge congratulations to you guys. I'm glad we had a great season, and we're going to be back next year to have an even greater season and win yet again. But this week, it's the solidifier for a lot of people playing in Week 17 championships. Now, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, Week 17 is the worst place to host your fantasy football championship. Tell your commissioner right now, Week 16 is how you have to do it next season. Obviously, you can't change it now, but for next season, make sure you guys go ahead and get that fixed. Week 17, defenses to stream, starts now. We begin with the San Francisco 49ers versus the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this is the type of a game here that worries me for Seattle. The Seattle Seahawks really trounced the Rams last week. Now, it wasn't an absolute butt-fucking of the LA Rams as a whole, but they ended up beating them pretty handily. Now, the 49ers defense has been very fucking stout, even without these key pieces like Nick Bosa being out due to injury. It doesn't seem to matter at all for the 49ers because their defensive coordinator is just such a genius that it does not matter who is out there. The clientele, the players, it does not matter any of that because they are still going to ball out on a weekly basis. The San Francisco 49ers defense is legit, and going up against Seattle, I think they could really be able to get it done. Up against Arizona, a pretty good offense that's been humming as of recently was stuck to only scoring 12 points up against the San Francisco 49ers last week on Saturday. 3 sacks, 1 INT, 1 fumble recovery, and 12 points allowed for the 49ers defense is very, very good. Now going up against Seattle last week, we saw the Rams kind of struggle, 5 sacks and 20 points allowed, but the sack number is very, very good. When you get an offensive line that's not amazing in the Seattle Seahawks, and you get a defensive line that is going to be heading and headhunting for the fucking quarterback like their name was Greg Williams, I expect the 49ers defense to get in Russell's head and be all over him this game. And I think the San Francisco 49ers defense, while isn't what it was all put up to be this season because of injuries, still could win you your championship here in Week 17 up against the Seahawks. Next game here, Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. Now, this is really only a pickup if Deshaun Watson ends up missing. In my opinion, I don't know why they would roll out Deshaun Watson to potentially fucking get put 6 feet under and take his big dirt nap. And they're going to end up having to cremate him after this one. I don't know why they would do that. So I think he ends up missing, but the reports I've been reading are saying that he may end up playing. So this is really just a 50-50. I'd wait all the way until Tuesday night when your waivers run through to really decide how healthy Deshaun Watson is. Titans defense last week up against the Green Bay Packers in the snow got absolutely butt-fucked. 1 sack, 1 INT, 40 points allowed. This was a murder at the hands of Green Bay, and Aaron Rodgers' glove did end up fitting after this one. The Bengals defense, Week 16 at Houston, 1 sack, 1 fumble recovery, and 31 points allowed. Now, I understand that the Houston offense did play pretty well up against the Bengals defense, but at the end of the day, the Bengals defense is nowhere near as good as the Tennessee Titans defense, and without Deshaun Watson, this offense takes a humongous dip in production as long as Watson is missing. Next defense here, we got the New England Patriots versus the New York Football Jets. Now, the Patriots defense, Week 16 versus Buffalo, is happening like an hour from when this video has been recorded, so I'm not too sure how they play. If I'm being honest with you, I expect them to get absolutely ran a train through by the Buffalo Bills, and I expect the Bills to be driving away in their Ford Bronco after murdering the not the New York Football Jets, the New England Deflatriots. But even in that case, they go from the Patriots playing up against one of the most ferocious offenses in the NFL, in the Buffalo Bills, a team that's going to be putting up big numbers regardless of what defense they're playing, to an offense that struggled all year long. Now, I understand that the Jumbo Jets are on a 2-win streak, which is just fucking hilarious because they lost out on the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. But as a Dolphins fan, I am mighty fine with that happening. I do think the Patriots defense looks much better here up against the Jets. The last time we saw the Patriots defense, 2 sacks, 1 INT, and 22 points allowed up against the Miami Dolphins offense. Now, the Dolphins offense isn't really known for scoring 7 million points, so that does not really surprise me at all that they were able to contain a rookie quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, even though they ended up losing the game. The Browns defense, week 16 at the New York Football Jets, was an absolute fucking travesty, though. 2 sacks and 23 points allowed. Now, the reason why they were such a travesty is because the Browns offense was completely and utterly limp dick in this game. They could not get it going at all. They went from being an offense that was high powered due to this passing offense, even with not the most notable weapons. They were really running with, instead of having fucking full auto machine guns, they were with pistols in this game, or not even really pistols. They were with fucking Nerf gun pistols in this matchup because all of their wide receivers had the big Rona. So that does also kind of determine how the defense plays. Now, the Patriots, I'm not sure they're going to be ultra competitive in this game, but I really don't see this being a very high-scoring game at all, and I think the Patriots will be able to get all over Mono Man Sam Darnold. Next defense is the defense on the other side of the ball, the New York Football Jets at the New England Patriots. Now, call me crazy, but the Jets defense has actually looked pretty decent 2 weeks in a row, especially for fantasy football. The Jets defense, week 16 versus the Brownies, 4 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, and 16 points allowed. Now, obviously, again, we don't know how the Bills defense fares up against the New England Deflatriots tonight, but I expect it to be pretty decent, even if, in my opinion, the Bills defense is kind of overrated. The Dolphins defense, week 15 at the New England Patriots, not at Miami, like it says. They were actually not even at New England. They were at home. The Dolphins were in Miami. So against New England, they got 3 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, and 12 points allowed. Now, the difference between the Jets defense and the Dolphins defense is immense. It's fucking huge. The Dolphins have one of the better defenses in the NFL, and the Jets don't have that great of a defense. But based upon recency bias and how they've been recently playing, I'm going to go ahead and believe in the Jets defense this week up against the New England Patriots. Call me crazy, but I actually think it's a pretty decent start, especially up against Cam Newton, who looks bad. Next game, guys here to be adding, next defense, that is the Minnesota Vikings at the Detroit Lions. Now, it appears that Matthew Stafford, one of the hardest motherfuckers in the NFL, genuinely is just straight up not going to probably play in this game, right? He is one of those guys that is just a bad motherfucker. He wants to play in every single game. He literally is like a legend in Detroit strictly because this guy just carries a team that has never given him help his whole career. Oh, but Nick, he had Calvin Johnson. He had Megatron. Do you remember that? Yeah, I remember that. But do you remember their coaching being any good? Do you remember the play calling being any good? And Matthew Stafford put the team on his fucking back. Now, likely going to be missing up against the Minnesota Vikings. And while the Vikings defense got cream pied up against the New England Patriots on Christmas, no less, I expect the Vikings defense to look much better this week. Week 16 versus New Orleans. 2 interceptions, 52 points allowed. It was a murder. It wasn't even close in that game. Rest in peace to my bet that I put on the Minnesota Vikings. The Buccaneers defense, week 16 at Detroit. That was also a murder post-Christmas, though. More of a Valentine's Day-esque murder here. 4 sacks, 1 INT, 1 fumble recovery, and 7 points allowed to the Detroit Lions after Matthew Stafford got knocked out of that game. So even if the Vikings defense isn't all that amazing, I expect the Bucs to look very good this week in week number, not the Bucs. I expect the Vikings defense to look very good this week up against the Detroit Lions in week 17. And final defense here, we got the New York Football Giants. Hopefully you guys liked my singing melody right there versus the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Dallas Cowboys offense actually has looked pretty good as of recently, but if I know anything about the Dallas Cowboys is that this game means everything to them. They win this game, they could potentially mosey their way into the fucking playoffs, and if you think the Dallas Cowboys will beat the Giants here, you are higher than Snoop Dogg on a fucking Tuesday, higher than Elon Musk. The Giants are going to roll the Dallas Cowboys. Giants defense, week 16 at Baltimore, 1 fumble recovery and 27 points allowed, but the difference between going from Baltimore BAL to the D in DAL is humongous because the DAL just gives the D to themselves because they fucking suck. The Dallas Cowboys are not a very good team, and I think the Giants defense will wake up here and smell the roses and play very strong up against the Cowboys because this is for their playoff hopes as well. Eagles defense last week up against Dallas was not very pretty. 2 sacks, 1 INT, and 37 points allowed, but the Eagles defense is much worse than the Giants. So overall, I think the Giants are a pretty solid defense to add this week, but they're kind of the bottom of the barrel in my opinion, like a last-ditch effort at the defensive position. So sorry guys if I sounded fucking incoherent at parts of this video. I haven't recorded in a couple of days, so I did make a couple of mistakes, but at the end of the day, you guys still definitely enjoyed. 100% you enjoyed if you're still here, so I do appreciate you. I love you. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure that you guys enjoy watching Monday Night Football between the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. I love you all. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, almost New Year. I love you all. Have a great rest of your guys' day. As always, good boy.